Hello and welcome to another live stream here. It's Sunday, January 5th, 2025. Happy New Year to everybody. Today I want to talk a little bit about warming up. I'd like to know what you do to warm up, if you do. And talk about maybe the importance of warming up and why it's important, and maybe how that may relate to expectations when you pick up the guitar. So oftentimes, I see folks getting really frustrated with what's coming out of their guitar, understandably. But one of the things is, well, what do you as a guitarist expect? Thank you, Jason L. When you pick up the guitar. So for me personally, I have extremely low expectations of when I first pick up the guitar. And that's where warming up comes in. So I'm in kind of that mindset of, okay, my fingers haven't, let's say it's, like yesterday I worked on, I did pick up the guitar, but I worked on a lot of kind of things for this upcoming a membership website effort that I'm pushing. But so that takes a lot of time away from the guitar. So if I know I haven't, played for a good period of time and I'm waking up the next day, I'm going to have real low expectations on what comes out. So I'd recommend you do that as well. Just keep your expectations in check. So I'll start by, playing notes in the key of C. And what I really don't like to do when I'm warming up is to play a sequential scale. So I just won't really do that. But I will try to think in terms of the key of C, or I could pick another key, but key of C is good. Mix them up, try to randomize them a little bit, do some jumps, and depending on where you're at with your knowledge, that may be very, very challenging, and you might have to do a little guesswork. But kind of mix it up. Yeah, maybe work in an arpeggio, but maybe try to mix it up. Right? If I play, let's say I play, rather than that, I might play. Okay. So trying to change it up. Right? We have we have inversions. And we also have different, we can take an inversion and mix it up into different collections or different orders and things like that. Now, the challenge I'd like for you to consider, and if you're feeling good at the level of knowing where the notes are in the C, in key of C, at least in a position, it doesn't have to be the whole neck, but that would be the goal, is to take key of C and see if you can go through and play a G sharp rather than a G, right? So play, and then just kind of randomize it a little bit, and then go back to C. Okay, so that's at least a little small challenge for you to try. And the importance of that is that that tone in particular is commonly changed a bit because of its leading tone to the relative minor. Okay, and we can analyze that, of course, but for right now, I would say try to think key of no sharps, no flats, key of C. Play around with G natural for a little bit, and then play with the same thing, but now G sharp. Right? It ends up sounding a little kind of exotic in a sense. I mean, from the perspective of maybe Western music, it may sound a little bit foreign to our, diatonic kind of thing. But, when we go to play in context of a harmony, it does sound very fitting to at least the history of Western music. So that's gives us the importance of playing in context, right? Context to a harmony, context to a sound. All right, I'd like to take a moment to request your like and subscribe and turn on notifications. Live streaming 2 times per week, considering upping that to 3. Maybe doing some things on, I think, Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Check out our merch store. That mug is a prototype, so I've got some new and improved designs on there. But also have some PDFs as well. So warming up, back to warming up. Try to play kind of random intervals, right? Try to maybe suggest progressions. Try to consider that G versus the G sharp. Now, another interesting perspective on the scales is to consider playing A flat, replacing A with A flat. So we're introducing that same tone inharmonically, but we're replacing a different note. And this gets us into another scale worth understanding and pursuing, which is the harmonic major. So if you check out the mug on the merch store, if you check out the icon on my website or on the YouTube channel, you'll see this voicing. Nice, interesting sounding voicing. And this particular voicing fits well with that collection of tones. So we have G13, flat 9. Right? So if we look at that note collection, use the word mode or chord scale from the perspective of the G, right? Then we've replaced the A with a flat, right? So we get something that's dominant, but it has the flat 9. So that's another cool area to explore there. Taking that A flat or G sharp and considering that as a tone to change within your within the scale. Another thing, that kind of concerns me about what I read on social media, in particular on YouTube. I see some of the posts with questions. Is folks kind of playing through the scales, and just kind of not mixing it up. So a lot of music, a lot of lines, are have varied intervals, right? And it's not so sequential, right? It's actually fairly rare to see a whole octave of a scale within someone's solo. So that's where doing the warm up and just trying to kind of deliberately flow, sort of stream of consciousness, but kind of being in the scale. So there's the scale, which is not particularly musical. It's like a tool that we can practice and use. Like, we need to know our scales. And then the music, which kind of relates to a scale, but it's really a melody. And somehow our ears tend to, once they hear, let's say 7 notes or something, or maybe even less, start to hear tonality, because that's our experience. We, as listeners, right, we hear a lot of tonal music. Throughout our lifetimes. All right, well, I'm gonna do a little playing, a little noodling with the idea of warming up and using note collections more than like thinking in scales. Okay, and then sometimes as happened to me there, you start to think a little bit like, oh, maybe they'll go in this direction, and this reminds you of this song and this progression and all that. Um, so there, the tune "A Weaver of Dreams" is kind of coming to my mind. So I just kind of like following that. You know, so you might kind of call it noodling, or just kind of warming up, just getting the fingers rolling. Everybody's different though, so you might have a technical warm up that works well for you. Sometimes I will work with not diatonic, but chromatic quite a bit, and do some little exercises on the last lesson video I did on clockwise. I found I really had to warm up, quite a bit for attempting to record that. Just giving the tempo. All right, JY, welcome. Are you focusing on a scale here? Yeah. So focusing on C as a kind of note collection, or C major scale, but trying to work with the changing nature of harmony. So when you play, when we get to C, the note collection, the white keys on the piano, will sound quite, maybe even just slightly different when you play A minor, right? So right, and then when we get to this chord, the scale is going to sound a little different on this, and those differences have to do with the changing consonances and dissonances. When you're on this chord, B minor 7 flat 5, and we're working with the key of no sharps, no flats, right? The consonances relative to what the chordal player is playing will be more these tones. Right, that's the arpeggio. That's where arpeggios are important. The tones on the same exact note collection, key of no sharps, no flats. The dissonances will be more on this arpeggio, and maybe even more of a 6 sound for a C major. Right, so that same note collection, it will feel different relative to whatever the chordal player is playing. And then we have some moments where we have notes that are introduced oftentimes that are outside of no sharps, no flats, right? So you have a G sharp in here. So this is the 5 of the 6 in the chord progression that I was playing earlier. And that's where, having practiced playing G sharp rather than G, will help to work with that sound. Okay, so that's, technically that's what's called Phrygian dominant on this, which is, its parent scale is A harmonic minor. So there's a very dynamic nature to music, and so picking one scale, especially working with like jazz tunes or progressive rock or these kinds of things, becomes not so workable. So we have to adjust and change with the currents of the harmony, basically. Adam says, Adam, welcome. Can you give advice on alternate picking? Yeah, absolutely. So let me, for folks who may not know about alternate picking versus economy picking, or have any idea about both, let me just start from the beginning. The alternate picking works in a way where you pluck down, up. So your hand is either going down or up throughout, right? So on a simple kind of level, you're kind of going down on the strong beat and then up on the weak beat, right? So like 1 and 2 and 3, right? So we go down on the numbers or the beats and then up on the ands. Now if you're playing 16th notes, then you're going up on E and up on down on 1 and down on and. So then you have 1 E and 2 E and 3, right? So then the hand is doing this back and forth thing. So let's contrast that to economy picking, which is another method. And I'll start that by saying I don't necessarily think that you need to work with one exclusively. There are times for both. I will say though that if you're playing at moderate tempos and don't have something that's blazingly fast, I would recommend sticking with alternate picking as your kind of default, because it has a very good strength for time feel, and it tends to sound very natural and sits in well with rhythm section. Now, so alternate picking, or with economy picking, what happens is you would try to stay in the same picking direction if you're crossing strings, right? So if you're crossing over strings, if I'm going, let's just take kind of let's say an A bar chord, arpeggio. So this is an extreme case, but you would simply go down, and then if you go up, okay, then you're just going if you're going lower in pitch or lower pitch strings, then you just pluck upward. So as far as advice on alternate picking, what I'd recommend doing is finding a book like maybe Melodic Rhythms for Guitar, I think it's called, which is a Berkeley Press book, where you can just drill the down ups. You can also work with rhythm only exercises. So find a rhythm collection, or write out your own, and then do like let's say you had a simple rhythm like down, down, up, down, down, up. So that's 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, 4, and. Okay. Now take that rhythm and start just like we did the warm-ups. Start mixing up your notes. So right. So actually alternate picking, I teach it like right from day one. Anybody beginner or anybody who has progressed and just never touched it. And it's really kind of hard to do. But it's really incredibly simple and easy once you get it down. So the thing is, if you play a rhythm like which is 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. What happens is you go down, up, miss, up, down, down. So people struggle with that on the down, not hitting a string. So I always tell people, say miss, down, up, miss. miss, up, down, down. And it's really funny because people really naturally miss the strings on the up, not a problem. And just really struggle with missing on the down. So we have some more questions. Oh, thanks, Jeffrey, for dropping in. Good morning. I could use a sip of tea. I'm having black tea at the moment. Had my coffee earlier. Let's see, we've got another question here. Let's see, Idle Work says, I can improvise in any backing key. I understand intervals, how to construct the major scale, and understand its modes. Cool. I understand how chords are constructed from triads. Awesome. I can find the triads for each degree. However, I cannot improvise over the changes. What exercise can you real-time chord tone recall? All right, let me think about that for a minute. Stuck here for 10 years improvising in the key, harmonizing on accident only. Oh, okay, I see. So, so you're playing a lot by ear, which is great. I mean, because every bit of your practice should be connected with ear training. So it is an oral art form. So everything should be, ear engaged in kind of what you're doing. So yeah, let's see. Cannot improvise over the changes. Okay, so you can do with a backing key. Okay, enter over the changes. Well, I would think, get more into understanding chord scales, right? So understanding the relatedness between the triads that you're aware of and the scales and kind of how they interact, right? So I think that's what you need need to work at. And what I recommend as far as practice is when you're playing, having fun, whatever, have a backing track, play all through the changes, front to back, or get lost, or whatever it is. But when it comes to practicing, work on real specific things, and that's where some of the apps are really can help you versus some of the traditional Aebersold backing tracks, which are great, especially for playing and getting the sense for real human players and playing through and stuff. So I would recommend using both, but where the iReal Pro and Band in a Box can really help you is that you can loop sections, right? So this is one thing I find folks again and again taking on too much all at once, the whole form, and just kind of faking it over the changes. So get into details, get into one chord change, right? If you go through and you're playing a Weaver of Dreams, when you go from this chord, the C6, or it could be C major 7, but, B minor 7 flat 5, are you kind of suggesting that change, right? So another way to practice is to practice without changes entirely. Maybe record yourself, or I shouldn't say changes. Practice without backing tracks entirely and record yourself. Are you hearing the changes in your lines? So if you can do that, then that's a really strong strong way to practice, right? Um, I talk about this kind of thing with my classical guitar students, jazz guitar students, pop guitar students, folk, country, whatever, is practice smaller amounts of material and master them, right? And then you'll get stronger, and you'll notice that when you do go and just play and have fun with it, which you've got to do, right? Um, then you'll say, wow, I hit that change. It really happened, So you'll see it. You won't see immediate payoff, but it will be there. So okay, I've got another comment here. It says I cannot play at all without something. I can, but you don't want me to. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Yeah. So that's brings up really great points. If that's where the danger of the backing track has its it can be unknown or known that you're leaning on the backing track, right? So when you go and play with other live musicians, you don't want to be leaning on them if that's something that you do or intend to do. You don't want to be leaning on them for your time. You don't want to be leaning on them for the harmony. You don't want to be leaning on them for the form. So the list could go on there, but so advice on that: practice just on your own, recording yourself. Can I play the changes through? You got to make that connection between harmony and note collections. That's basically it. And you got to understand that these things are dynamic. You can't just hunker down in one scale on the vast majority of at least jazz tunes. So you got to have that thing happening. Play with a metronome. Can you divide your attention a little bit between the metronome and play with the click, right? And what's your range? What's if you're losing it, find something that's comfortable and make sure you can just segment off your attention, right? Because when you're playing with others, you got to have your ears open for how's the drummer feeling the time, how's the bassist, trying to kind of lock in and do what you're doing all at the same time. So yeah, playing on your own, recording yourself. You can record yourself with everything. So just mention that. So playing just on your own, no backing track. Playing with a metronome. Playing with backing tracks, both Aebersold types and app types, looping sections. Play with real recordings in real studios or live performances. All these 4 things, I hope I'm not missing any, but listen and emulate. That's probably your highest priority, really, is to listen to Wes Montgomery on the tune that you like, if you can find it, or whatever guitarist, that's from Blue Note or any of the big produced recordings. So you're welcome, Idlework. Thanks for joining in. Really appreciate it. Now I'm just being crazy. Okay. Perhaps. Maybe I had too much coffee or tea here. All right. Let's see what we got here. We're working on a project that is right now. Improving a lot in practice. Cool. My internal metronome is retired. Everything I play gets recorded. Awesome. Yeah. Well, sounds like you're like doing studio stuff, so that's good. Doing 15 minutes shred style. I remember, an interesting comment that one of the, I think it was, I was teaching at a school, and had some like really high level musicians teaching at this school, part time, and then playing gigs and things. And remember the director of the school. There were two teachers there, and they were doing an ensemble thing together. And he made this comment like, there were two guitarists, actually. There were two guitarists, and one was more like a studio guy, or tended to work more with recording, and the one was more like kind of live, primarily live kind of guy. And he made this funny comment to me. He said, "You can really tell, the studio types versus the live types, And I'm like, yeah, So recording yourself, it's really helpful, especially for time and the details and just really getting in there. So, but we want to do both, some live playing and recording. All right. Well, I didn't give a lot of heads up on today's live stream. I'm trying to kind of figure out what time is best. So today, live streaming at 11 a.m. But thanks for joining here. Send out a reminder to like and subscribe. Turn on notifications. I'm working on my new membership website, which we're going to have, I think, a soft launch on I think like January 15th, and then full launch on February 1st. That's kind of the goal. If you'd like to join our kind of soft launch, send me an email, and then you can just generally find information on fretprints.com. So if you click on the join, you'll get some information about it. And if you scroll down, you can join my email list, which, if all goes well, it will send you a link to register at the website, and then you can get a free course, which is Roots Foundational Patterns. And but you can also click on login and just register directly. But if you are interested in that, starting January 15th, which is like in 10 days, send me an email, jim@fretprints.com. Let me know you're interested in it, and I'll see what I can do to get you started on that. But really excited about it. It's going to have the FretPrints app, which is something that can really help you understand chord scales. It's going to have Sound Slice, which is a interactive video notation sort of thing. So that'll be on the website, and it's going to have 5 different levels of difficulty. So it's going to really accommodate any folks who are at different levels. Also going to have live streaming, which will be some exclusive live streams, and some will be webinar style and question and answer and all that. And it will not be on YouTube, those particular ones, as well as video on demand lessons. So Very excited about it. Community forums. And so this is going to be community directed content with a focus on improvisation, learning to play or get better at developing, playing over changes and all that. Hey, Jeffrey. So you joined the vertical live stream. How's it going? So I'm going to hang out for another about 5 minutes, everybody. Thanks for joining. Some new faces here. And returning folks. I do appreciate you dropping in. And I'll do a little more noodling around. Got another comment here. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So back to what I was talking about with recording. You sit there and listen to it over and over again and hear all the mistakes. Yeah. And in addition to that, with recording being so, in a sense, readily available, you can record onto your SSD or your external hard drive or whatever it is and just erase it or look at it again. Record yourself for the process of refinement. Obviously, as you pointed out, it's going to be really helpful for dealing with the mistakes and everything, but also refinement, which is like, oh wait, maybe I like this note to be a little bit quieter, right? Or maybe this phrasing should be more slurred here, right? So oftentimes when I do recordings for the channel, I take it as a process of recording. I'll record myself and say, okay, yeah, that's working pretty well, or I like this to be maybe a little bit different. And that'll sometimes inform some changes into, okay, what string do I want to play that note on? Or, do I want to use, as we got back to some earlier questions, do I want to use alternate picking, or should I use more economy picking? I have a strong preference for alternate picking, but for example, on the clockwise, that one was 294, I think, beats per minute. And, I started thinking, really, how to pick that one was a big deal as I was putting that together. So get close-ups on my right hand, so check that out. And you may see that I do play strings in the same direction, and other times where I'm doing more alternate. So all right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for joining me. Really do appreciate it. If you haven't already, please like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out the learning tunes. Hopefully this has helped you out a bit. All right, Hardcore Studios says study all the time and watch these videos. Awesome, glad to hear it. Also mention I do have a little bit of a member area here directly on the channel, where I do archive some of the older live streams and things. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much, and I will see you all in the next one. Have a great day, great practice session.